Hello, I'm Jadriel Stabler, and today I will be explaining the change model that best fits my leadership practices and how I've modified the change model to make it more effective. So, the agenda today, I will talk about Cotter's 8 stage process. Then I'll go into talk about daring leadership modifications that I have made to this process. Then I have a few more modifications based on my leadership practice to be added to this. Then I'll show the revised change model. So just a little overview of Cotter's 8 stage process. This is the change model that best fits with my own leadership practices. And I started with this model because it's an organized model that lays out the process to follow step by step. I'm a detail oriented and organized leader who leads best when provided a process and a foundation with a list to follow. Cotter's model allows me as a leader to check off steps in each phase of the model, which enables me to easily follow the process to implement change within an organization. In my most recent discussion forum, I explained how Cotter's process limits a leader because a leader must go through each phase in a sequence before moving on to the next. This lack of flexibility in the model creates a challenge for leaders when attempting to implement complex change within an organization. I propose a more fluid and flexible model that encourages commitment, creating a shared purpose, talking straight, practicing gratitude, and starting with why. So for the first modification, I propose that it should be made to stage 2 within Cotter's process, which is create a guiding coalition. Within this stage, leaders should cultivate commitment and a shared purpose among those who are chosen to support the initiative. Brown states they take the time to explain the why behind strategies and how tasks link to ongoing priorities and mission work. That's found on page 100 of Daring Leadership book. Explaining the why will create a shared purpose between the group. It will allow them to understand why the change will happen. To create a solid foundation of people, a leader must create shared commitment. Brown 2018 also stated, we want people to share our commitment to purpose and mission, not to comply because they're afraid not to, found on page 103. Adding this modification will allow those chosen to support the initiative the ability to determine if they want to be committed to the initiative or not. Giving them a choice will build a foundation of trust and loyalty and a solid group to help initiate change. The other modification that should be made to this model using Brown's daring leadership is to stage number 6, which is generate short-term wins. Cotter stresses the importance of celebrating short-term gains to keep employees motivated. In addition to celebrating short-term successes, the practice of gratitude should be implemented as well. Brown 2018 states, something as simple as starting or ending meetings with a gratitude check when everyone shares one thing they're grateful for can build trust and connection, serve as container building, and give your group permission to lean into joy. That is found on page 83. Implementing organizational change can take a long time. Including gratitude into this step can be a morale booster and a way to show employees just how much a leader cares about the efforts they have made so far. Gratitude is a way to give the group permission to lean into successes and be grateful for the work that has been accomplished. In addition to generating short-term wins and celebrating victories, the practice of gratitude will bring the group together, making everyone more motivated to move along in the change effort. Further modifications include a modification being made again to stage 2, which is create a guiding coalition. Within this stage, a significant number of people who would support the initiative are selected. This group should be aligned and know that change is needed. Cotter does not mention explaining to the group the why for change. I suggest modifying this step by including an explanation to the group about the why for change. Simon Sinek has explained the importance of starting with why when implementing change. Sinek 2009 states, when we start with why, the why is offered as the reason for people to buy what we do because why is speaking to the decision-making part of the brain, found on page 56 in Start With Why. Explaining the why behind the change when choosing a group of people to support the initiative will allow people to buy into the change. This will allow the change implementation to be more effective because people will understand the vision and be able to communicate to others within the organization. The final modification would be make this model so that the stages can be used in a different order if needed. This modification will make the model more effective because it will allow the leader to revisit a stage, skip a stage, or use a stage in a different order. For example, if the leader can tell that the change is not effective and short wins are not generated, the leader can revisit step 3 to redevelop a vision and strategy. This modification gives the model flexibility and more room for development. This is my final proposed change model. As you can see, the steps are still included, all 8 of them. However, between step 2 and step 6, you can see that there has been additions to this, to cultivating commitment and a shared purpose, and starting with why. And then in addition to generating short-term wins, you would be practicing gratitude throughout the change as well to help the employees feel proud about their accomplishments. A side note as well to this modifications, steps are given as a guideline to follow. However, each can be revisited in any order if the change implementation does not work. Here are my references, and thank you for listening to my change model presentation.